Please don't let him see the light of day, was the statement echoed by many of the victims during their impact statements to the court and to Darrell Brooks. Dr. Lund here, and today watching the victims give their impact statements, you could see Brooks rolling his eyes, laughing, faking applause after some of the statements were given, looking bored, or moving his finger as to mean, let's keep this moving on, while people poured out their heart, their pain, their rage, their anger, and sadness at what this man did to their families and loved ones. I actually had a lot of anxiety, not about how hard and heartfelt and emotional the impact statements were going to be, but what Brooks's response to those reactions were going to be that would make the victims' statements and their emotions and their pain seem discounted. However, each one, from the youngest to the oldest, gave heartfelt statements in spite of Brooks's performance and his dysfunctional behavior. The one thing I did notice is Brooks did not mock, make fun of, roll his eyes for the statements of the young victims that came and made their impact statements. It seemed like even he knew that was not a line to cross. And as predicted, the 20 people Brooks thought were going to be coming and making statements on his behalf seemed to have whittled down to maybe 3. Regardless, the judge observing Brooks's behavior during the impact statements, I'm sure will be taken into consideration during his sentencing, which, for all intents and purposes, will be the fact that he will not ever get out of prison to see the light of day. But for the victims, I think one of the most difficult pieces, especially with folks that I've worked in with therapy, is them being able to reconcile that they don't need an apology to heal. Sometimes folks hang on to that there's some acknowledgement from somebody who's done something that's affected their life in such a negative manner. But an apology doesn't preclude healing. And that's my hope for all the families, the friends, the victims. As one of the victims said in her statement, that there were thousands of people that had been affected by his actions. And an apology does not warrant a step in healing. That can be managed without, and probably will have to be in this case. Another theme I heard from many of the victims from their statements was the fact that they carried guilt. Guilt for doing something or not doing something, or being somewhere or not being somewhere, the coulda, woulda, shoulda that these folks carry along with other signs and symptoms of post-traumatic stress syndrome, which again is not uncommon, but needs to be managed for the folks to be able to let go of that guilt and just telling someone it's not your fault. It wasn't your fault. Takes more than just those statements for someone to really internalize what was in their control and what was out of their control. And as many of the families and victims cried and sobbed during their statements, to me, it was reassuring to see the judge tear up and show emotion and wipe tears, and the prosecution wipe tears away, listening to what these folks have gone through. That, to me, is, again, part of humanity. There is the court process and the legal process, but there's also support for humans taking care of humans and showing emotion to somebody who is verbalizing and demonstrating they've been through so much trauma and so much pain and continue to be experiencing those feelings. I have no doubt that after sentencing, Brooks will not see the light of day, and these victims and families in the community can begin to heal, including some of the youngest victims who couldn't give statements but could draw their feelings. The grace and resilience of the Waukesha community is truly amazing. Thank you all for watching this, and please like and subscribe.